Welcome! If you're new here, my name is Nikki and I'm the sewist and the maker behind the blog sewuprising.com and Sew Uprising Handmade, my small accessories line. I am currently in the middle of sewing up a small capsule wardrobe to get me through the next 2 months and last 2 months of my pregnancy, and then hopefully carry me through the summer, through postpartum, and what's called the 4th trimester. And I wanted to bring you along on sewing a few of the items that are going to go into this capsule wardrobe. Today I'm going to be making another version of this top here, the Helen's Closet Gilbert top in a size 16 in the D cup range. This make was my first attempt at sewing the pattern, and then today I'm going to make another version out of this mustard and white gingham, and I'm really excited for it. This one you can see is not quite done. I'm still waiting on my buttonhole foot to be able to put some buttons on it. But I just love the way it looks and how like classic it is, but with obviously a little twist, pun intended. So these I plan on wearing kind of tied up over my bum for the next couple of months, and then being able to wear for nursing and tucked into jeans after baby is here. This one in the pink is a size 18D. I am choosing to size down one for my next one. I'm going to make a 16D. I originally chose this size off of my current measurements for my pregnant body, but then after it was made, kind of realized that maybe that wasn't the best, since fingers crossed I won't be pregnant forever, and I might want it to fit a little differently later. So I'm going to go back to what my pre-pregnancy size would have been, which would be a 16D. Luckily this pattern has a lot of ease, it's very forgiving, so I should be able to still wear it for now and then have it fit better later. So let's talk fabric. Both this mauve window pane fabric and this plaid, this gingham, are from Joann Fabrics. They are both spring platitude fabrics. They are cotton viscose, 60% cotton, 40% viscose. They were $12.99 a yard, and I got 2 yards of each. They've both been pre-washed, so I had them cut 2 yards of each, measuring after I washed it and then pressed it. Words are hard. They went down to about 1 3/4 yards, so I did lose some length there, which is a good thing to keep in mind if you're interested in this fabric as well. But I just love how lightweight and drapey it is. You can see it just flows beautifully, and it ties really nicely, which I really like, and it presses really well. So this fabric here was pre-washed, ironed, I sewed the top, and now it's been washed again, so it's been washed twice. You can see it's got beautiful drape. It's incredibly soft, it's incredibly lightweight, and I'm really excited to start wearing it once we get some buttons and I'm not walking around with pins down my shirt. I think that's all I want to say before we jump in. So I, out of respect for the designer, I'm not going to show full pattern pieces, or I'm going to try really hard not to. So I'm going to take this fabric over to my cutting table, get it cut out, and then we're ready to sew. Alright, I have all my pieces cut and interfaced, and I am ready to sew. I just wanted to share a tip on what I do for fabrics like this where it's really not clear what the right side is or what the right side isn't, especially when you start moving them around. I buy knockoff Wonder Clips in bulk, and I use them to mark which is the right side of my fabric and which isn't. So I use the colored side of the clip to show the right side. So here I'm going to take one layer and clip the colored to the outside, and on the bottom layer I'm going to do it the opposite way. So that way when I'm sewing later, I have a clear indicator of which is the right side, like which of the fabric should be facing out and which side should be facing down. And I always do it somewhere where there are absolutely no notches, anything like that. The bottom usually works well for me, or up in the neckline. But yeah, now we're ready to start sewing. And first step is bust darts. So it's terribly exciting. I love that more and more patterns are starting to come with cup options. As a particularly busty human being, it makes my life so much easier to not have to constantly be doing full bust adjustments. I still need to do them fairly often, but it's at least a little easier. So I'm going to pin my bust dart, I like to pin them and then I like to press them and then I sew. So I have it pinned. I'm going to take it over. I'm going to press this flat and then sew it. I just feel like it helps make it go a little easier. We'll see. But before I do that, I'm going to open it up, double check, bust start going to the inside, and my pin. And we'll do number 2. And my darts are done. Aren't that pretty? I'm not normally one to work with a small pattern like this, but I just, oh gosh, that's pretty. So now that our darts are done, we'll set those off to the side and work on assembling the back. So I have my main back piece here. And again, I'm using the clips to show me what side is up. Probably should press out this fold, but I'm lazy, so I'm not going to. And we are going to take our back yoke pieces and make a nice little sandwich right here in the middle. Right sides together for the outside piece. And wrong sides together for the inside piece. I'm going to take that to my machine and I'm going to sew it. I'm also going to run a row of top stitching along it. I know that's not in the pattern, but it's just something I like to do. And there is my completed back piece. Inside the other. See, I got a little wavy here. I'm just kind of going with it. With patterns like this, I don't strive for perfection, because if I strive for perfection, I will never actually make the garment. So we got it close enough. Our lines are pretty straight, and we are going to move on to attaching the yoke fronts. The yoke to the fronts, I believe, but first we have to press them. So, got our yokes prepped, and now it is time to get the shoulder seams done. So, first thing I'm going to do is my back piece, right side up. I'm going to unclip these so I can unfold that yoke. So I've got the yoke facing tucked away. And sandwich my shirt fronts. Right sides together. Double check, yep. And then we take these and we flip it over so the back is facing up. So the back is now facing up, but we're going to tuck that front down. And our interfaced facings go on here. This is actually, I think, a couple different steps in the pattern, but I just pretty much do them all at once. So, back yoke and facings, and then on the front, back exterior yoke. Here, I'm going to sew all 4 of those seams, and I'll be right back. And I have those seams stitched and pressed. At this point, I like to stop and lay everything out and make sure everything looks right. So if there's any issues, I can fix it. So I lay it. We'll go this way. So the right side of my top is facing down, and I am checking to make sure I have some threads to snip. Everything looks correct. So I just kind of like line things up with my fingers, put some pin clips in just to kind of hold it, just to look and make sure everything looks right. So all of the edges that need to be tucked will be tucked. My darts are on the right side, and it looks good. We set this off to the side for a minute as we work on our collar. And I have my collar pieces, I have them right sides together. One is interfaced, one is not. And I am just going to use some clips to hold them. I'm going to take them over to my machine. I'm going to stitch along these edges. So these are my notches. I'm not going to sew this side for now. I'm going to sew these 3, grade the seams, flip it inside out, press it, and then top stitch all the way around the whole piece, and that's it. If you've never done a collar before, this is one of the easiest I've ever done. So I'll show you what it looks like when that's done. Here is my collar, all ready to go. Now it is time to put it on our top. So I'm going to lay my top out. The outside of the top is facing up, and I have the back yoke tucked out of the way because I'm only going to pin this to the exterior yoke at the moment. And I'm just going to match all of my notches as I go around. I use a combination of pins and clips. So things I want to absolutely make sure they don't move, I use pins. And then if it's got a little wiggle room like the back here, I use a clip. So the notches on this are great. They line up so well, and they line up in really easy ways. So you have a notch for the center for each seam, and then where the collar should end on the front here. Like so. And like so. Easy as that. Now the pattern is going to have you baste this and then do the next part. I do it all at once because I'm lazy. So I'm going to kind of pile my back piece here in the middle, and I'm going to flip my interior back yoke up, and I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to line up the shoulder seams with the front. If you've never sewn a burrito method before, it can be a little tricky, but there's a lot of great videos online. I may make a more in-depth tutorial on it one day too. But it's a great way to get super clean, easy finishes, keeping everything nice and tidy. And clip. This is a spot where I definitely tend to over clip and over pin, but that's all right. Better safe than sorry. And clip. And then I'm going to keep clipping all the way down the front yoke here. Again, if you're following the actual instructions for the pattern, this is 2 steps. I just do it all in one. It's personal preference. So here is my mess. It's organized chaos. I'm going to go to my machine. I'm going to start here, and I'm going to sew all the way up, all the way around the neck, and then down the other side. I'm going to grade the seam allowance. I'm going to turn it right side out, and I'm going to press it. And then our collar's attached, and we are like halfway done with this top already, and we've only been sewing for an hour and a half maybe. So a super quick make. I swear that there is nothing more satisfying than pulling that out of the burrito and getting a nice, pretty finished collar. So mine is pressed. I just have some pins holding, that's my yoke down, and ready to go. So our next step is to work on finishing the edges around the ties here. And we do some folds and some tucks and get it all good to go so that we can just stitch all the way up in one nice continuous line and have it good to go. So I'm going to take it to my machine and press. I'm going to do a 1/4 inch fold twice all the way around all of the exposed seams. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to go all the way along the bottom, and I'm going to go along the other side. This is one of the most tedious and time consuming parts of making this entire top, and making sure it lays right is a pain sometimes. So take your time here. There's some tips and hints in the pattern instructions as well that I'm going to recommend you follow, but I'll do that, and then we're so close to done. Alright, that took a hot minute. Let me get this open so you can see what we're working with. You can see I'm top stitched all the way around here, all the way down and around here, and then I just have my bottom pre-pressed. I just press, when I have to fold this, I just press all the way around. And that's how it looks from the inside. And our next steps are going to be to sew down this yoke through the inside and then do the side seams. But it's actually getting late here, so I'm going to take a break for a little bit, eat some dinner, and then do that. So when I come back, the lighting may be a little different. I'm also going to take some time and clean up all of my threads at this point, since so much of my garment is finished, at least around the collar. It's a good time to make sure everything is nice and tidy. So I got my yoke stitched down, you can see here, and I got my shoulder seams done. I still need to trim a few more threads, but at this point I like to stop and either put the garment on myself, or here I have it on the dress form, and this gives me a chance to look and make sure everything is laying nice and flat. So here you can see it seems like there's a little bit of extra fabric here, so I'm going to try to press it first to see if that fixes the problem. If not, I'll need to unstitch and fix, and I do that on both sides. It just kind of gives me a second to make sure everything is laying like it should. Again, I use this dress form. This is a cheap, like $20 dress form from Amazon, or you can put it on yourself as well. But once I have that all done, then we are on to side seams, and we are trucking right along. I'm getting harassed by a cat. But yeah, how cute is that collar coming along? Oh, I'm so excited for this. All right, so now I have my side seams done, and I have the main body completely done. So here's a close-up of my side seam with the bust dart, and because I've already pre-pressed my hemline, that's my next step, is I'm going to go along and stitch my hem along the bottom of the garment, and then really all that's left is sleeves and buttonholes, of course. But yeah, we are getting so very, very close. Oh, I'm still very pleased with how this fabric is sewing up as well. So I am going to trim some threads. I'm going to stitch that, and then I'll show you what it looks like on the mannequin. We've switched animals now. Hey, baby. Now I have a very handsome golden retriever. So side seams are done, and I kind of tied it a little knot here to give you an idea of how it'll look, and then some pins. And here we go. So like I said, side seams are done, hem's done. So literally all that is left is putting on some sleeves, which should go nice and quick, which is good because it is 8 o'clock. My back is killing me, and I'm ready to go snuggle this guy. So, yay! Very exciting. Alright, so last step is, of course, putting the sleeves in. Last step before buttonholes, and I have my sleeves all prepped. You can see I went and pre-pressed my hems of the sleeves. They're not sewn yet, just done like that. I'm going to wait to sew them until after I put them on the top, just to make sure I don't want to shorten them or lengthen them at all. But yeah, so we're going to insert some sleeves. The pattern has you do the sleeves in the round. I know some people prefer to do them flat. I personally don't see a lot of difference in it, but I know some people do. Trick here is right sides together, and we're going to match notches, or in my play case, dots. So on the back of your garment, you should have had 2, and that'll match up with this. And like I said before, one of my favorite things about this pattern is how well, if you've been mindful of your seam allowances, everything lines up when it comes time to attach them. There we go. This fabric has enough give that I don't need to really worry about gathering the sleeve cap either, which is nice. On a stiffer or a thicker fabric, you're definitely going to want to do that, and it actually tells you to do that in the pattern, but I guess this fabric has enough give that I don't need to, which is nice because it saves some time, and I hate gathering, so. And we have sleeves. Buttonholes are probably going to have to wait for tomorrow, but I'm really excited. Cute little camp shirt. And here is my finished Gilbert top. I have it tied up a little higher than normal, so it sits above the baby bump, and I have it styled with like a ruched black skirt, but I love how cute it is. This color is definitely outside of my normal color palette, so that's a fun change, but here we go. So I am 32 weeks pregnant the day I'm filming this, and this would have been my measurements pre-pregnancy. You can see it's a little tight across the chest, but not too bad. There's no big gaping or anything like that, and I could actually tie it as it is meant to be worn. So this is how you would normally wear it, down a little lower, but of course a little less flattering on me at the moment, but it is the perfect height. My natural waist is right here, so it's the perfect height to tuck into some high-waisted jeans this summer, which I think is going to look great. I love the like built-in ties on this, that you're not just like tying up the shirt, that it has the actual ties. I just feel like that's a little bit more flattering. Get that tied back up. So there's what it looks like tied at a normal shirt length. Still works for me. Again, 32 weeks pregnant, so definitely got some baby going in there. It's got good ease along the shoulders. I love the neckline. Yeah. Overall, I'm very, very satisfied. I definitely feel like I like the fit of this one, my pre-pregnancy size, over the one that I sized up, which would be the mauve one that I showed at the beginning. but I definitely think either work, and it's probably a fabric decision anyway. Thanks for hanging out with me while I sewed up this Gilbert top. I'm so excited to get to wear it and to keep working on my wardrobe before spring summer with, you know, a bunch of flexible patterns. Up next, I am going to be making a couple of chalk and notch fringe tops and dresses, and I'm hoping to make a by hand London Hannah dress as well. So be sure to check back soon if you'd like to see that. Happy sewing!